Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Club Junkie Podcast. Hopefully, you're having a good week. It is Thursday morning again, or Thursday, or it's whatever day you're listening. But it's Thursday for me. So, hopefully, you're having a good one. And yeah, before we get into today's episode, I just want to let you know it is brought to you by Titleist and the Pro V1 and Pro V1X golf balls. When it comes to golf balls, we all have lots of choices. The good news is Pro V1, Pro V1X, and Pro V1X Left Dash offer the ultimate performance choice and really cover any combination of flight, spin, and feel you need. Titleist Pro V1 is the greatest combination of speed, spin, and feel in the game, and the best choice for most players. Pro V1 is exceptionally long, with a mid-flight trajectory, maximum short game spin, and a very soft feel. Pro V1X is perfect for golfers who prioritize total performance but want higher flight and a firmer feel. The higher peak height that you get from Pro V1X can add some distance and maximum stopping power into the green. The Pro V1X Left Dash is for players who want maxed out speed, high flight, and spin control. Left Dash is also engineered to be low spinning on full swing shots. I'm a Pro V1X guy. I like the high flight, stops on the green easier. I just need that extra height. So for me, I'm a big Pro V1X guy. There's a Titleist golf ball that fits your game, and you owe it to yourself to find out. To learn more, visit Titleist.com today. So yeah, it's another week down. It is crazy how fast. I'm in week 18 of my league, which is wild. I mean, we have a few more weeks than, like, we usually go 20 weeks. We have a few more weeks because we had a few rainouts and all that. So we're going to go beyond that. But it's now starting to get dark out. Or it was, light till like 9:30, 9:40. Now it's like 8 o'clock, maybe 8:30. I mean, 8 o'clock, you could probably still finish out the round if you got a hole to go. But by 8:30, you're pretty much done, which is crazy. So fall is getting here. And while I'm excited for football to start up, I'm not excited for short days and my window of golf closing, because that's going to happen. Unfortunately, up here in Metro Detroit, we get snow. We get snow. We get cold weather. All that stuff's coming, and it's just you then hit that lull of not being able to play, and you just wait for spring. So it's kind of a bummer, but I'm gonna enjoy it as much as I can while I can, and play some golf, because I know it's going away soon. Let's put it that way. This summer flew by. I can't believe this summer is basically done. Just wild. So anyway, that is my rant on that. Yeah, I've been playing. I've been playing a little bit of golf. I played for the past weekend. Played up at Bella Vista. Stayed home last weekend. I actually didn't play because the weather was crappy. It rained like all weekend. I was supposed to get stuff done around the house. I got a little bit done, but not as much as I'd like. So yeah, just doing some tinkering this week. Got an interesting bag set up for league this week. Going with a totally different driver setup. I mean, literally, I have 3 wedges and a driver that I need to put grips on this evening, because I'm recording this Wednesday night. I need to put grips on this evening in order to play with them tomorrow. So I've got the new, Metaflex CBT 6H. So Metaflex is kind of similar to Autoflex in a way. It's a very flexible shaft. The CBT portion starts for carbon bending tube or carbon bending technology, and it's all about like being super flexible while still being stable. Really interesting shaft. It's got a really soft feel to it. It's got a crazy like carbon weave going through it, which is pretty wild. And yeah, I've got that thing built up now. Interesting enough as well, because a lot of graphite shaft manufacturers, or shaft manufacturers in general, say the world of having spines in shafts is gone, and stuff like puring and all that flowing, all that stuff is long gone. It's not needed. This is a very expensive high-end Japanese shaft, and it actually has a little marking on near the tip that is marked, and it says spine right on it. And when you look at their kind of install instructions, basically that label so to go straight up and down, and if you clock it to, they say like the 10, 11 o'clock position, it can help reduce hooks and draws. And if you clock it to the, 1, 2 position, they say it could help with reducing slices. So really interesting. I actually built it up and set it in that 10 o'clock position, so we're going to see how it goes. Super lightweight. I think it's like 55 grams, but super flexible. Kind of wild, but we'll see. I had some success with the BGT Brava shaft. I've never hit an Autoflex, but hit the Vanquish. It and I never got along really well. Hit the BGT Brava, which is on the wall behind me, and actually hit some good shots with that. Back when I had that in a Rogue ST, hit that really, really well. honestly, for a little while, and then it just went away for some reason. So we'll see how this one goes. So I've got it in the TaylorMade QI10 LS head. I just figure, it's kind of flexible and soft. Let's put something kind of low spin and whatever in there. So it's built up, ready to go. I just got to toss a grip on it this evening, and should be good to go. But that'll be interesting. The other interesting thing that's in that bag, new McGregor irons. So McGregor is back, and everybody remembers McGregor. I used to play old V-foil blades and stuff like that. I love that stuff. The old V-foil, I think they're like 1025s or something like that, V-foil 1025s. And they were awesome. They had crazy milling all over the face, almost like a wedge, but they're on all the irons. Had this weird little kind of bubble muscle on the back. They actually look good from a dress, but way beyond what I should have been playing at the time. But anyway, McGregor's back. They went under. Another company bought them out. They're definitely coming in at a price point that is way lower than everybody else. But I've got the MT milled set in there in the black finish. They look really good. Whole back is kind of milled, has like the milling lines on it. It's kind of a compact player's cavity, and it looks really good. The only thing that's weird about it is that it's got like a reverse offset on it. So the 4 or 5 iron, 6 iron, whatever, those look awesome. They have like no offset to them. They're very, very little. And then you start getting into like the 8-9 pitching wedge, and all of a sudden they have like a ton of offset. It's really kind of weird because usually it's the exact opposite. Even with Players Club, you'll see, the pitching wedge, 9 iron, 8 iron, whatever, all be kind of very low offset, very minimal offset, all that. And then when you get into like the 4 iron, 5 iron, you'll see some offset play into it. And that's how most sets are built. This one is reverse of that. And I don't know, on their site, they don't necessarily say like why. It's not like a technology feature in a sense, I don't think. But it's definitely interesting. But I'm going to actually check it because I don't think it says like why it does it. But it's a very interesting setup. But I've got 4-through pitching wedge in those, and it's very very cool. They got a cool, nice like leading edge grind on it, so they should have pretty good turf interaction. But it doesn't say anything about why the offset kind of falls into the short irons, not the long irons, but definitely interesting. The MT forged, I think it is one that has almost no offset throughout the set. So if you're looking for, it's more of a blade. I'm sorry, the MT Pro. The MT Pro is more like a blade. It has almost zero offset to it in the 4-7 or pitching wedge. But the MT definitely has a little bit there, which is interesting. So, but it'll be interesting to go play with them. They're forged out of 1025 carbon steel. So, they or 1020 carbon steel. So they should feel pretty good, and they look pretty good in the black. Like I said, the 4 iron looks awesome. So does the 5 iron and 6 iron. Just the rest of them start to get a little bit interesting. So I'll let you guys know how those go after I hit them, and yeah, I'll let you know how they go. Now it's interesting if you go on their site when it says offset on them. It says the 4 iron offset is 3.5 millimeters, and the pitching wedge is 3 millimeters. And yeah, that's definitely not the case. So definitely very interesting. But we'll take a look at them and see how they go, and hopefully I'll play well. I've been struggling at league. I can't hit driver. I can't get off the tee. I think I topped every single drive last week. It was horrible, and then just didn't. I mean, I got it around okay after I got it in play, but I just was not getting it in play, basically all round, which has been a struggle. And I got to work on that. I really need to practice more, and I just haven't been doing that. So, but it is what it is. But some interesting stuff there. I think I have locked in gamer wedges. So I'm going to do a what's in the bag. Maybe not next week. I think next week I'm either going to do. I think I'll do the Mizuno Pro Iron or the JPX, the Mizuno JPX 925 stuff. I only have 4-7 pitching wedge, but I'll probably do the Pro and the regular next week. And then, I don't know what I'll do. Maybe after that, I'll do true what's in the bag. Because I think I have it pretty close to dialed in right now for my what's in the bag. If I was to, just go play, here are my clubs, here's what I'm playing the best with. But wedges I've got dialed in. Those are locked in. Sugar Daddy 3, 50 degree, Sugar Daddy 3, 50 degree, 10 degree bounce, S grind with, and then a Sugar Daddy 3, 56, 10 degree S grind, and then Vokey Wedge Works 60 A plus grind. And I just put the Project X 60 wedge shafts in there. So I'm really excited to hit those shafts. I think they're going to be really, really good, really stable. I'm thinking I'm going to like the feel. So, yeah, I think those are my wedges. The Sugar Daddy 3s are so soft. They feel really soft. They spin like crazy out of any lie. Like off the off a fairway lie, you just have to fire it at the pin because, especially if you're playing from anywhere like 50 yards and out, you got to fire it at the pin because you're getting zero release out of that bad boy off the fairway. And then out of the rough, you still have a pretty good controlled spin from there. Feels super soft, and yeah, the S grind performs really well in the soft conditions up here. So overall, really impressed with those wedges, and then the A plus grind, the Vokey Wedgeworks A plus grind, has just been rock solid. I love that wide sole. You can just slam it into the turf. It doesn't dig. It gets through pretty quick. If you open it up in a trap, it's got a good amount of float. All that. So really, really solid. That is my kind of setup there, and then I'll let you know the rest of the bag once I get it fully dialed in. But I think I have it pretty much set up. So rolling along there, which is good. I know it's taken me a long time, but you know, I thought I brought the gamer set up to you know, my guys' weekend, but I think there's one or two changes that'll go on with that. So anyway, today we're going to talk about some wedges, ironically, or a wedge line. And the first thing we're going to talk about today is the new TaylorMade Hi-Toe 4 wedges. So the Hi-Toe wedge is kind of becoming, in a sense, the Kleenex name of these shaped wedges with the higher toe, full face grooves. Typically, they got like a little bit wider sole, but this whole thing, you know, Callaway used to make a PM grind. They don't make that anymore, probably because they're not really associated with Phil Mickelson anymore. And then Cleveland makes the full face, the RTX full face. So they've got that one. And Adams has one, and there's a bunch of them out now, which is pretty cool. I think the Tour Edge Exotics Wingman, I mean, pretty much, you know, Titleist is one of the few who doesn't make one, but these have become a much bigger segment in the world of golf, and I get why. Like, I totally understand it. While, you know, when it comes to aesthetics, yes, this isn't the most amazing wedge to look down at. They do perform really well, and they do things, certain things better than a traditional standard wedge. So this is the new Hi-Toe 4. I played the Hi-Toe 3 back in the day. I actually played the 60 for a while as just my 60 degree when they first came out. But here is the Hi-Toe 4. The big thing about these is Hi-Toe 4s, they've added a bunch of grinds, where before it was just kind of, I think you had like a high bounce and a low bounce, or a high bounce and a standard bounce option, and that was about it with the threes. This one here, you have, what is it? I think 5 grinds when you get into the lob wedges. The lob wedges have a bunch, but you basically have the ATV grind, the ATX, the ATC, the ATW, and the ATS. So you got a bunch of grinds. The S pretty much is, yeah, you can get it from the ATS grind. You can get from 50 degrees all the way down to 60. The rest of them are pretty much sand and lob wedge only. So when you get into the 50, the 52, and even the 54, you don't have, you know, only have the ATS, which is kind of the standard sole that you would have saw, very similar to the Hi-Toe 3 that was out. Very traditional, where it's just kind of a full sole, a little bit of trailing edge, kind of relief on it there. That's been kind of ground off, a little bit of C shape on the back, but it's got a fairly wide full sole on it. The one that I was really interested in coming back, and the one I was definitely hitting the most, I took a 56 and a 56 out and a 58, was the ATV is back, the ATV wedge. And I always like this wedge because the little scoop in the bottom. I used to play a Callaway PM grind wedge that was very similar, or no, it was the X Tour with the PM sole, but it had this concave sole on it that was awesome out of the trap. It was really good flow, good getting through soft conditions, especially if you're a steep player. Just this little bit of concave, just it didn't let the club dig, and I really loved that. I thought those wedges played exceptionally well. So I was really excited to see the ATV back. The other one that's super interesting, which I didn't take out yet, but I really, I probably will next, is the ATW. It's got a really cool leading edge, is kind of ground, you know, ground beveled. It's got a strip in the middle, and then the trailing edge is kind of recessed as well, which is pretty sweet. And I think that wedge for playing a lot of full shots out of soft conditions would be really good. But ATV was the one I definitely wanted to try, and then the 56 is just a standard ATS grind, I believe. So, yeah, before we get into, you know, performance, I think the color's really awesome. They kind of went with this like kind of antique bronze. If you're watching this on YouTube, or if you want to watch this on YouTube, just, you know, search Club Junkie or Golf WX Radio. But the bronze's color is a little more subtle than the previous versions. It's a little more brownish. It's not quite as coppery. Now that will patina over time, it will wear over time, and of course the face is raw, so that will rust and wear over time as well. When you get into these lob wedges, they have a little etching on them, and it's basically what is it called? It's called spin tread. When you look on the sole, I don't know if you'll be able to see it on there, but you can see there's a little bit of like laser etching in between the grooves. And again, add a little bit more friction, help with moisture control, all that. I also do like that on the face on these, which I know you could do yourself, but they filled in that bottom groove with like kind of a gold paint fill. And the one thing I've always struggled with these kind of higher toe designs is, if you're like kind of playing a little like chip shot or whatever, I always struggle because the way that they've got a really rounded leading edge. Usually they've got like just a little bit of offset to them. And when you put them down, for me, it was always hard to like know, like, am I truly square to the target? Like, am I square? Am I a little open, closed? It was always hard for me to tell. And that white line or that gold line on there definitely helps out. On the back there, they definitely changed the lower section of the wedge. With the previous ones, there was kind of holes put out there or milled out. This one's got one little cavity down near the heel, and then of course there's a big old pad of weight up near the toe. So the big thing about hot-tail wedges is as you open the face, you typically you hit the ball further out on the toe. That's just where you're going to strike it. Especially if you miss it, you're really going to get it out on the toe. And like if you play in the Midwest like I do, like Michigan, around our greens, like we don't have crazy tight lies. Like they don't mow everything super tight around the greens. We've got really like lush, deep rough around the greens and in our rough. And a lot of times if a ball's sitting kind of up a little bit, you can get a little steep, get under it, hit it high in the face, and it just comes out and doesn't go anywhere. It has no spin, just comes out, falls short, you come up short, and you're still, in the rough or maybe make it onto the fringe or front part of the green. And with these wedges, I mean, having that little bit more mass up there, full grooves, if you hit that shot out on the toe, all the high on the toe, you're still going to get a better result. You'll get a little bit more spin, that ball carry a little bit farther. You'll probably get it on the green. You may not be close, but at least you'll have a putter in your hand for the next shot. So these in the lob wedge and sand wedge make total sense. Now in the 50 degree, it depends. I mean, a lot of people will do 50, 50, 50, 54, 58, or 50, 56, 60, because they want them all to match and flow and totally get that. But the high-toe stuff, I did actually notice, so I did hit the Cleveland RTX full face of these with a 50 degree a couple of years ago, just to see. And my miss is typically with wedges out of the toe. I get a little steep, and as I come down on it, I catch it out on the toe a little bit. And I found that actually the ball spun just a little bit more with those toe shots. It carried just a little bit further, and it added just a little bit of forgiveness to the wedge. So overall, but the design, all that looks really good. I love the fact that they're offering sole grinds and or multiple sole grinds in there. And when you go online, they basically break them all out of what they're for. So, if you're a person who, takes a deeper divot and you play in soft conditions or, you're steeper, the ATW would be kind of more your jam. If you're somebody who plays in stuff that's firmer, this ATV or even, something like the ATC would be more up your alley. And they kind of break down, the weather conditions, firm, neutral, soft. And then divot size would be, shallow, medium, and steep. So even though the ATV here is kind of made for somebody a little bit more neutral, I just wanted to take it out because I was a big fan of the ATV when it first came out. I thought it was a cool wedge grind and all that. So I took that thing out. But overall, good looking wedge. I mean, it's definitely not traditional. It's not it's not a wedge you're going to look down on and say, wow, it's crazy beautiful. But it's built for a purpose. So big thing. I like the milled sole. That kind of stuff I think is very cool that, say you have this wedge, you can go get another one. They're going to play exactly the same. There's not going to be a tolerance or variance that's noticeable between two different wedges. They're all going to be identical when it comes to the sole, which I think is pretty cool. There's been, stories about people with wedges that they, two of the exact same wedge and they measure it. One's got 12 degrees of mouth and one has 8 and it's, labeled a 9 and whatever. So it's kind of cool that these will always be pretty much identical every time. So, but I just took the thing out, stock configuration, just a dynamic gold wedge 115. I mean, they split tour issue on here, but let's be honest, this isn't like, I don't think it's a shaft we're going to see a ton on tour. And then it's got the cool matching lambkin gold grip, which I kind of like. The TaylorMade's kind of gone back to the old retro kind of goldish colors out there. It looks really good. But overall, a good looking wedge. I think they did a nice job on it. The raw face, I love the fact that it'll rust. And then the patina side of it, this thing will look probably pretty cool after you put about a season worth of work on it. So on the course, this thing here, I mean, the first shot I had with it was basically the first hole. I unfortunately hit a terrible tee shot. As I said, I've been struggling to get off the tee. And then I just basically launched. Did I launch 3-wood or 7-wood? I think it was 7-wood. Just launched a 7-wood down there because I was like 210 out. Launched a 7-wood down there. Just got beyond the green, and I was just basically on the right and slightly over. So basically had this thing out. That green slopes a little bit on 10 from back to front, and yeah, hit it actually a terrible shot with the wedge. Caught it, kind of caught it a little bit fat. The bounce hit first, and I basically hit it kind of low, low and heel. Popped the ball up. It went a little further than I thought, but overall, it stayed on the green. And with a terrible swing, got away with it there. The only thing I didn't do with this is I never played it out of the trap. I was never in a bunker. Unfortunately, every other shot was from the rough, but I did miss a lot of green, so I was hitting this a lot on the second par three, which is 14. I hit probably my best iron shot of the day. Hit the backside of the green, bounced all the way over. I was on the cart path, moved it, dropped it off the cart path, and again had a severe slope back to front green that I had to hit to. And yeah, I mean with this thing here, hit a shot a little bit off the toe. Ball was kind of sitting up a little bit, hit a little off the toe, just a touch high, but it still hit the green, released down, and I had I don't know how many feet back up the hill. But again, easy shots there that they weren't even perfect swings. Ended up with good shots. The spin here seems to be really good, really solid from the rough. Predictable release. That was the big thing. I mean, hitting it out of the rough, you were getting grass in the grooves and grass kind of between the ball and that, but still getting it out and getting it to kind of hit the green and release it a shorter amount. It wasn't just hitting the green and just running across. The ball would basically, you could see, try to check up a little bit and just release out. Depending on the length of the shot, that would be more or less. Off the fairway, definitely checks. I mean, these things put some good spin on the ball. I mean, granted, they're fresh wedges, they're brand new grooves, all that, but they do check up pretty hard in terms of the grooves there. They do spin the ball well, and honestly, whether you hit it out on the toe or you hit it kind of low heel or dead center, the spin seems to kind of stay very similar. You don't see a big wide range. Like if you catch it, like low heel, you don't see a shot that all of a sudden just hits and releases out and just rolls with no spin on it. Same thing with catching it out on like the high toe. It doesn't come out there like as a knuckleball and just fly across the green or anything like that. That all hold a good amount of spin, and when then you flush it, it definitely comes out with a good amount of spin and will hold pretty well. The feel on it is really good. I think much like MG4, they improved a little bit of the feel. They feel pretty soft. Even on the miss hits I had, I mean, the only thing, the one that I had that was like had a little vibration to it was severely missed up on the toe. Caught a little vibration there. But if you hit the thing down in the lower half, almost anywhere on there, it's got kind of a soft feel to it. Just barely even a click at impact. I mean, you get that just touch a click, but it comes off the face soft and very responsive. I would say the lower half, it gets as I say, very responsive. It gets a little dead. Like there's certain spots there low that you maybe not tell exactly where you hit it until you look down and see kind of the mark on the face of where you caught it. But overall, it's pretty decent at giving you feedback on where you missed. Um, the ATV grind, the sole in this turf interaction was really good. If you open it up just a touch, there's actually enough. I guess if you can kind of see it when you open it up, there's a good amount of like kind of heel relief and toe relief, and the leading edge does come off the ground, but it's not crazy. And granted, we don't play the tightest conditions here in Michigan, but the leading edge doesn't come crazy off the ground. And it plays pretty well, even slightly open. But turf interaction on something like fuller shots for me, which is like a 50-yard type shot with a 58, definitely really good. Definitely shallow divots with this ATV grind, even though it's kind of the lowest bounce one of the group. I thought the divots were really shallow. They got through pretty quickly. This isn't the smoothest, fastest wedge to get through. Now the 56 that had that has that S grind definitely got through a little bit faster, a little smoother. ATV seems to catch a little bit, just be a hair slower on those shots, but it makes up for it by offering definitely a shallower divot for those steeper players. Again, even though it says it's more for firm and shallow things, it definitely works for my swing and my steeper swing at that. But overall, it worked out really well. I think these are really solid. again, I never hit it out of the bunker, which is the one thing I wish I would have done, only because, testing out that little ATV sole with the scoop would have been really good. But, I played this thing square. I played it a little open. I kind of hit, I don't play anything wide open. I'm not playing super flop shots, and thankfully didn't have to try to hit anything like that. But I played most shots square to maybe just a slight bit open. And, this grind worked really well. It didn't, hang up too much. The deep rough, it didn't hang up at all. It wasn't like the grass wasn't kind of like grabbing the club and trying to shut it or anything like that. It got through pretty well. So a really forgiving wedge. Again, I never hit anything too crazy high in the toe, but I have before with a lot of these wedges. And again, I've hit a couple. As you can see, there's some marks up, kind of the middle part of the wedge where I hit some shots, and all those came out really, really well. You'd almost, in terms of performance-wise, not know that you really hit it too far off center. And a ball, that came out, it spun, it held the green, and came out as a nice shot. So the flight with these also is not crazy high. These things with all that mass, all the toe weight, they do come out a little bit flatter, a little bit lower trajectory than some other traditional wedges. I know a lot of wedges now they're going for low, flat, penetrating trajectories that spin a lot, and this does that. I mean, you can with this thing flight it down, hit a little lower piercing shot if you want. By nature, though, it's going to come out just a little bit flatter and give you the option to kind of play both shots if you want. And then, like a lot of wedges, you can kind of open it up a little bit, hit it a little higher, and use some of that trajectory to stop the ball as well. Maybe add a little bit of spin. So a pretty versatile wedge, even though it looks kind of like the one trick pony in a sense. Especially with these added grinds, definitely a more versatile wedge, and can be kind of tailored to your swing and your conditions more. And I don't think this is something that is only for players who are higher handicap who need help. I think really good players could benefit from this, especially if you play somewhere, like I said, Midwest style, where there isn't those really tight lies. You've got those lush, kind of thick rough that the ball can sit up on. You can kind of get under. You can hit the ball without having to worry about the wedge just sliding under, which is kind of nice. So very versatile. I think any type of player, whether you're gonna, you're aspiring tour player, whether you're a weekend guy or somebody beginning, I think that there's a version of this wedge that could find its way into your bag. I know the last version when they came out, we saw some people messing with them on tour. I would expect we'll probably see something similar again. That you might see some lob wedges or sand wedges in there from some tour players. But TaylorMade did a nice job. The Hi-Toe 4s, really, really nice. The nice thing is, too, it says Hi-Toe, but it doesn't say 4 anywhere, so you don't really know which model it is. But they did a nice job. Aesthetically, looks really good. For what it is, I understand that it's got a shaping that not everybody's going to love. But overall, I think it looks pretty good. Aesthetically, the finish is great. And then performance-wise, I think it's a good performing wedge. I mean, it is the Hi-Toe. It's what everybody kind of references when they say this type of wedge. So really good. I'm glad TaylorMade expanded the options. I think they're only going to make this line better, and you're going to see more and more people playing it. But overall, a really solid wedge. And yeah, I think for me, I mean, for media samples, we don't get to really choose everything we want. And I got a couple different 58s. I didn't get any 60s in, so I don't know if this is necessarily going to, make the bag in a sense. But I could definitely see where one of these grinds could, and I could definitely play one as a lob wedge with no problem. So, but yeah, this is the TaylorMade Hi-Toe 4, a really solid new offering. If you want to see more, check out all the grinds, all that. TaylorMadeGolf.com. They've got a ton of info on there. Anything about the new spin tread face as well. And then, yeah, all the grinds, all the specs, all that are down there. So pretty cool to see everything that's offered. And yeah, I mean, it's pretty extensive. I'm just looking at the list, and it takes up a good amount of the screen there of all the different loft, sole, options they're doing. So yeah, but really solid. I was a big fan. I've been a big fan so far, and yeah, just gonna try it out of the bunker. That's my next big thing, is hit out of the bunker and see how it goes. So maybe I'll have to hit one in there on purpose. No, I'm not going to do that. But maybe I'll get in the bunker here one of these days and do more with it. But that is, yeah, TaylorMade Hi-Toe 4. So like I said, go check out more on those. It could definitely be a cool sand lob wedge combo for you there, especially if you're somebody who tends to catch a little high in the face, like I do out of the rough. But before we get into the next thing, Olakai, they've got a new shoe called the McKenna. It is the next generation for Olokai Golf. It's got an outsole that's plated for maximum traction, and its spikes are actually influenced by the waves of Hawaii. It's a fully waterproof shoe, so it's going to keep your feet dry whether you get caught in a storm, whether you're getting out early and sweeping the dew. Your feet are always going to stay dry and comfortable in the shoe. It's tested on some of the best courses in Hawaii, so you know that it's waterproof and it's comfortable, and it's just going to be a great golf shoe. Good walk is emblemized on the sole. It's that famous quote, golf is a good walk spoiled, but it's a great shoe to walk in, extremely comfortable. And, hey, they believe in walking. So these shoes are designed to keep you comfortable on your feet well beyond 18 holes. So if you need to go play that emergency 9, or, hey, you're playing 36 that day, or, hey, the match is tied, we've got to keep going, you're going to be comfortable. So go to olukai.com, check out the new Makena golf shoe, olukai.com. Check out their shoes. Like I said, I've been a sandal wearer forever from those guys. Extremely comfortable. So great footwear from this Hawaiian company. So the next thing we're going to talk about is going to be a golf accessory. And it's something that a lot of times I kind of get bored with because there's not that much difference in this category. But this ended up being a very, very interesting and very, very different product than I thought it would be. So what I'm going to show to you today, and most of you may not even know that this thing exists. You probably don't. I would guess that most people don't know what this is. But this is kind of becoming one of my favorite rangefinders, and I didn't think it would, and I didn't even originally want to mess with it, but I'm glad I did because it's definitely interesting. And this is the Canon PowerShot Golf digital laser rangefinder. So yes, Canon, that golf company, Canon it makes a rangefinder, and they just started doing it. It's something brand new. It's $349, so about the price of most other, decent rangefinders out there from the big brands. But it's got some features and does some things that no other rangefinder does. It's pretty small. If you're looking at, my hand, if you're watching this on YouTube, like I wear like a medium large glove, and this thing is pretty small. It fits in my hand pretty easily. I can actually touch my middle finger and thumb together at the back end of it. But it's pretty compact and pretty interesting. So it looks just like a black rangefinder. Like there's nothing that crazy in it. When you open the box, it comes with like a black vinyl case and all that. There's nothing too crazy about it. But the big thing is when you look through it, the first time you look through it, the first thing you're going to notice is that's not a lens. I mean, it's a lens, but what you're looking at is actually an LCD screen, like on a camera, basically on a camera, like a Canon camera that has a screen. So when you hit the button on top, there's two buttons on top. There's the power on, and it also says photo. We'll get to that in a minute. And then it's got a menu button on the top, and those are the two buttons on the side. You can turn the laser on and off. Interesting. Again, tell you about that in a second. And then on the back, you'll notice it's got two buttons. One's a record button and one's a zoom button. Yes. So this here, when you basically hit the button, it actually takes like a millisecond or so, and all of a sudden the screen fires on. So when you first look at it, it's black. There's nothing there. And you hit the button, and all of a sudden the screen fires on. And what you're looking at is a little screen, and it's video basically of the hole. So when you look down, it is a video of the hole. Now it has stabilization built in as well, which is pretty cool. But you're not looking like just through a traditional lens like you do in other ones. This is like literally a camera sight looking down. Which is pretty cool. I'll tell you what, it worked way better than I thought. When I first again saw that, I was like, this is weird. I was inside, I was in the office, and I was like, this just isn't going to be, very good. And then I got on the course, and shockingly, it was really, really good. They did a really good job. Bright sun, because it's got like an autofocus. So when you go and you turn it on, it takes a second, and then it focuses in at almost basically the yardage you're looking at. So if you're looking at like a 100-yard shot, it's going to kind of focus to the world around 100 yards. And if you're looking at a 250-yard shot, it's going to focus around the 250-yard mark, and it makes finding the pin really, really easy because it almost like zooms in. And then if you need to, you can zoom in. You can basically hit the zoom button, and it zooms in even more to find the flag or tree or whatever you're trying to laser to get the distance on. So Really interesting, very kind of cool design. Didn't expect it to be as good as it is, but it's pretty nice. And the stabilization works really well. If you've got like that 200-yard shot and you're like me and you kind of got that little shaky hand, you're always using two hands, um, it works really well in that stabilization mode. So even though like I'm down here in my basement recording, I can look at the wall and I can see like the individual bricks and the exhaust pipe of the dryer over there and all that. Like it all zooms in on that. And then like it's dark over there, but it brightens it up in here. Like it's like what your camera phone does. It's it's really good at it. It's really solid. I thought it was going to be dumb and gimmicky, and it just works. And whether it's a dark, you're playing at dusk, or you're playing super early in the morning, there's sun coming in, or there's no sun, it's dark out, like it just adjusts and it makes it, brighter, darker, whatever. Like it just works. And it was really shocking that it works so well. So there's also the menu button on here. When you go to the menu button, it is a menu like a Canon camera. So like I've got a Canon, like we'll call it DSLR or whatever. I'm not a camera guy. Um, the menu is almost identical. Like you can go in and set a bunch of settings right through there. It's got like a whole menu to it, all that. It's pretty easy to use, but a ton of options that you can set this thing up. And then also the it's got a video or camera mode built in. So if you're like they label it as, if you're out playing and something cool is going on, you can actually switch the laser off and then just hit record and record your buddies on the green or whatever. Now it has to be far away, like it can't be really close. But if you're out in the fairway and you're watching like somebody's shot, you could actually record that shot bouncing onto the green and rolling up somewhere. And the resolution's not bad. Like I was messing around with it. I put a card in here just to try it, and the resolution's not bad. It takes a second to focus, and once it focuses in, though, like the resolution's pretty good. It's not 4K or anything like that, but it'd be good enough to have a little video to kind of like show your friends or whatever on a shot, or even if there's like you're playing some course that's just crazy beautiful, whatever. You could take like a little video of like panoramic and kind of move around, but you put a micro SD card. There's a little door on the side, and it's got a micro SD card, and it's also got the USB-C spot where you charge it. It's got both those on there, and it works pretty well. Like I said, it's not 4K. It's a little grainy, but if you need to video something, or I think it'd be kind of cool if you were playing, in some type of, uh, you know, more ruralish area, and there's like some big hills or mountains that you could see like some wildlife up there, some deer. Like you could go catch that and record it and be right there. So it's actually kind of cool. Again, I thought it was, when I first read it, I was like, really? It does video? I can see where you use it. At first, I didn't know where you could use it, and you can turn the laser on and off. So if you turn it off, you won't have the crosshairs or anything in there. It'll just be like a video camera, or you can take photos and take photos with it, and take photos of your buddies or the landscape or a beautiful hole, whatever. You could take photos of it, which is kind of interesting. I mean, because the zoom on it's way better than your phone. I mean, sometimes when you're trying to photograph golf courses, it always looks like you're so far away. Even if you're like 100 yards out, it looks like you're up to a mile away, and you got to like zoom in and all that. Like this, you don't have to. Like it's just right there. But so it's got some cool features like that. I will give it a knock, like others that are stabilized. There's no magnet, so you can't just stick it on the cart. Um, which is a bummer, but I get it. I've talked to the guys at Nikon before, and they said the magnet in there can mess with the gyroscope that does the stability portion, but it is it's really good accuracy wise. It seems dead on. I took it out against my Nikon, which I've trusted for forever, and shot stuff. They were both identical yardages. Um, I think if anything it was like maybe like point 0.1 whatever off, because this one goes down to like 139.9 or whatever, point 0.5. But it seemed to be really accurate. I played with this thing for like at least 45 holes, something like that. Again, I expected to go play 18 with it and be done, and I played like 45 with it because it's just been pretty cool and pretty fun to use. But yeah, it's got slope on it. It's got the jolt to it, so when you actually catch a flag, it'll vibrate. It's got a scan mode where if you hold down the button, and actually that's kind of nice when you're in scan mode, a little S will come up and you'll scan around, and it'll catch the pin and jolt on it. But it has slope, gives you the yardages. The menu you can go in and turn slope off, but it's pretty much on. There's no way on the outside, I don't believe, to see if the slope's on or not. I believe it's just always it's just on. There is a little thing over there that it might come on. I'd have to go turn it off, but I was using slope, so but yeah, you go on to the but yeah, you go in the menu, you can turn it off, and it's just it's a pretty cool it's a pretty cool thing. So like I said, the menu I got in the menu now, like there's just a ton of menu options. But overall, it works really well. Whether it's dark out, super sunny, right into the direct. If you're into the direct sun, you can still look through it fine. It doesn't mess with the glare. Super low light, it brightens everything up. It does everything that that a rangefinder does. It's IPX4 waterproof, so I mean you can kind of get it a little bit damp through some rain or whatever. But again, it doesn't have a magnet, so you're not going to be sticking it on the side of your cart to like let it get just soaked with rain. It's super compact. I mean, it fits in your hand. It's super small. It's super lightweight. It's rechargeable, so if you did run out of battery, if you just had a cable in the car, a lot of carts now have the USB charger. You can probably charge it right in the cart there, and do that. If you put a mini SD card, you can take photos, videos with it. But overall, like what it does as a rangefinder, it does really well. It says it goes up from 7 to 800 yards, and even at max 800 yards, it's plus or minus 2 yards of accuracy. So I never use it on 800. I had some 250 whatever type shot yards, and it always seemed really accurate. So worked well when you're bouncing off trees or anything like that. It worked just fine. But a really cool piece that I didn't know what to expect, and I've been really impressed with it. And it's just kind of fun to use, and it's just easy to use. So yeah, I mean it's a 6x like standard zoom. When you hit the zoom button, it goes to 12x. And I'll tell you what, sometimes like that 250 up a hill, whatever, that little zoom part it works pretty well. And then you add in the stability with it; it's not shaking all over at 250 yards, super zoomed in. Which I've had some rangefinders where at those yardages it's almost hard to hit the pin. Super easy to catch the pin with this thing. But Canon did a really nice job with this PowerShot Golf digital rangefinder. I didn't expect it to be as good as it is. I didn't think it would be, you know, kind of cool to use, but it's pretty fun to use. It's got the stabilization, the slope. It's got everything you want it to use, and then some added stuff that I think most people probably never use the video camera or the photo thing. I don't think they will, but it's there, and if you want to do it, it's there. And honestly, at the price point, you'd spend the same amount of money on something that doesn't have that option. So it's there. But yeah, the slope, the digital zoom, the vibrate, all that. I mean, those are all the things you want. And then just to use it where you can turn the laser off and just use it as kind of like a little you know monocle zoom. It's pretty cool. But I really liked it. Like I said, the only knock I have no magnet to stick it. But I've been fine. I've been using my Nikon head doesn't have a magnet, so I'm kind of used to that for the most part. But yeah, I mean this thing is they say so it's measuring 1.2 inches I think thick, 2.3 inches tall, and 3.6 inches long. So it is not a huge thing. It fits in a it comes in a little protective like ballistic nylon case that you can kind of stick anywhere. It clips onto your bag, and yeah, it's pretty cool. And then it still even has on the back the little eyepiece is adjustable that you can kind of dial into the screen what you need. So if it's blurry, whatever, you can dial it in. But they did a really nice job with it, and I think it's pretty cool. I really like it. I've liked using it more and more. I thought I was going to use it for 18 holes and just put it in the box, and that was going to be it. And I have found myself using it more and more. So a really cool thing. The Canon PowerShot Golf laser rangefinder, 350 bucks. Like that price point, you're pretty much at a lot of other, rangefinders. Definitely something that's pretty cool. And again, I was just really impressed. So if you want to check out more, go to it's under usa.canon.com. And then if you go in there, you can go through. I think I would just Google search the Canon ProShot Golf digital rangefinder, and it'll come up that way. But the specs are all in there for it. But a really cool design. I think Canon kind of nailed it with what they did. They did something different while making something that's truly functional. So kudos to them. They definitely impressed me. So I thought they did a great job. So yeah, if you want to check out more on it, definitely check it out. It's pretty cool. So that is the PowerShot Golf Digital Laser Rangefinder from Canon. So they're in the mix. It's a pretty cool. So that's all I've got today. Hopefully, you guys have a good weekend. Get out there and play some golf. I'm going to try to play some golf this weekend with my dad. I think I'm playing Sunday. So hopefully play pretty well. And yeah, that's all I've got. Please, if you want to follow me on Instagram at Club Junkie Pod, I'm on there all the time. And as well, if you're watching this on YouTube, whatever, please like, subscribe wherever you listen to your podcast here. Please subscribe, like, star it, whatever you do. All that stuff kind of helps, and I hate asking or whatever, but it definitely helps us out. So that's all I've got today. Hopefully, you guys have a good one, and we'll talk next week.